Well, the bell finally tolled for the last time on maybe the greatest professional wrestler of all time, The Undertaker, Cody, this weekend at WrestleMania.
Yeah, and what a way to go out. I mean, had to go out with a loss, but that was the best for business, like Triple H says. And thank you to The Undertaker for all the years.
Obviously, we are talking about The Undertaker. We're going to get into The Undertaker here towards the end of this podcast, obviously, because that was the main event of WrestleMania. But just, bittersweet moment. But, the hashtag was going around that night. Thank you, Taker. And that's all we can say about that for right now. It was a huge weekend, Cody. Huge weekend for professional wrestling. We talked about this last podcast. This was, remember how in the summer when they had UFC 200 and they had the card on Fox that Friday night, and then they had another card that Thursday night before. It was Fight Week.
Yeah, International Fight Week.
International Fight Week, yeah. Well, this was, for all purposes, International Wrestling Week, and it always is every weekend. But not only with the WWE, it was with other promotions too. Ring of Honor did a show Saturday night where the Hardy Boys lost the tag team titles, Ring of Honor tag team titles to the Young Bucks, and we're going to talk about the Hardy Boys because obviously they made a big impact this weekend, or this at WrestleMania. Yeah, it was just a big weekend for all professional wrestling organizations. When professional wrestling is hot, not only does that mean it helps WWE out, but it helps all these other smaller companies out too.
Exactly. That's like a breeding ground to get to the big stage,
And of course, we got to touch on the Hall of Fame, man. This was but let me first say that this was really the first weekend that I literally sat and watched all of the Hall of Fame, watched all of NXT TakeOver, and of course watched all of WrestleMania, which I never missed that. But I've never really watched the Hall of Fame from its entirety, beginning to end. But I did this past Friday, and was really glad I did it, man. Just really ton of moments. It might have been the best class, pound for pound, that we've ever seen go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with the best. This is the first time I haven't watched the entire thing, to be honest with you. I had to work all weekend long, Saturday and Sunday.
Well, I don't blame you because it was just about 4 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, the main two I wanted to see were first and second.
DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, and then Rock and Roll Express, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I saw those two, and I was good with it. I watched the highlights of the rest of them.
Yeah, DDP, really moving speech. He probably had like the best pound for pound, like typical positive speaking DDP type speech. And then of course the Rock and Roll Express were up there and shooting. They were talking about old school type stuff, and of course Jim Cornette inducted him. And I didn't find Corny to be as controversial as I thought he was going to be, but of course that was probably to be expected. But it was good to see Jim.
I'm sure they told him to tone it down.
Yeah, it was pretty good to see Jim Cornette back there still, though. But man, I mean, if you really missed something, Kurt Angle was the highlight of the night, I thought, though. At the end, just seeing him on there in the WWE again on that type of stage, being entertaining as hell, man. It was awesome, and I'm glad to see that now he is, of course, the general manager of Raw. We'll be seeing him on a weekly basis.
I'm glad to see it too. He's such a character, and you're right. Diamond Dallas Page's speech, man, it blew me away. Talking about Dusty Rhodes and how he wouldn't be what he was without Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
Because me growing up as a kid, Dusty Rhodes was one of the big wrestlers. Him and Sapphire, I remember him feuding against the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Yeah, Dusty was really important to Diamond Dallas Page's career. And then, of course, Eric Bischoff set it up well. Eric Bischoff inducted DDP, and I'm a big fan of Eric Bischoff, man.
I am too. I'd like to see more of him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's kind of in a
documentary on the WWE Network, and it is really something to see if you had checked it out.
One of the most polarizing figures in the wrestling industry, for sure.
Yeah, because without him, you don't have a Mr. McMahon.
You don't have an Attitude Era. Maybe, probably exactly. Not, of course, WCW. But anyway, man, Hall of Fame was awesome. I know, let's move on to Saturday night. I know you don't watch as much NXT as I do, but I'm going to start encourage you to not watch week to week, but at least try to catch these takeover events when they air, because, man, these guys put on a show. And I talked to you about this match the other day, but before we came on the podcast and such. And the tag team match, one of the best matches I've seen in a while. One of the best, most fun matches I've seen in a while, man. I might go so far. I will go so far to say that it was the best match I saw this entire weekend. That includes the WrestleMania card.
Really?
It was awesome. You got to go back and check it out. That's on the WWE Network. NXT TakeOver Orlando. It is the Revival versus DIY versus the Authors of Pain for the NXT Tag Team Championships. I was talking to you about this earlier. If you're not familiar with NXT, the Revival is basically kind of like a mixture between Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard in the Midnight Express, that type of heel traditional tag team. DIY, I told you this, is basically Rock and Roll Express / Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. I mean, that type of tag team. And the Authors of Pain are the big, huge bullies, the Legion of Doom, Road Warriors type tag team. So it was really kind of a callback to that 80s era when there were some great tag teams running around, the NWA and everything like that. And man, I mean, these guys put on a show, a hell of a show.
Well, Arn Anderson's one of my all-time favorites. So.
Yeah, and you know the Revival, they're on Raw now. They debuted on Raw. They beat the New Day, and it's good to see these guys on the main card and on television now, because these guys are good, man. They just let these guys be themselves and do what they did in NXT. This is going to be one of your top tag teams for the next 5-10 years.
And a lot of time, that's what it takes, man. A lot of these guys have it already. You know, that it factor, like they say. A lot of them guys have it already. They don't need somebody to write promos for them. Just go out there and be yourself and do what you enjoy doing and what your passion is. And if they let guys loose like that, they'll probably have a lot more success. Absolutely,
yeah. Absolutely, man. NXT Takeover was I was really pleased with that. Of course, Shinsuke Nakamura and Bobby Roode put on a show in the main event that night. Bobby Roode, of course, defeated Shinsuke Nakamura because Nakamura was going to the main roster. He debuted on SmackDown last night. Didn't do much, just came out there to his music and bowed, and then that was it. But he didn't really have to do anything. His entrance is so mesmerizing, man.
That's what I was about to say. When you have an entrance like that, you really don't need to do anything else.
Yeah, you know, now that the Undertaker might not be probably not suiting up ever again, Shinsuke Nakamura, I think, has the best entrance in the WWE at this point.
I would definitely agree.
Well, that's enough about the Hall of Fame. That's enough about NXT TakeOver. Are you ready to get into the big thing, WrestleMania 33?
Let's do it.
I had medium expectations for this card going in, and these guys, WWE just literally blew it out of the water for me. I mean, they hit the nail on the head. This was one of the best WrestleManias I can remember seeing in recent memory.
I would have to agree with you. The thing that kind of got me was the ones that they built up so much coming into WrestleMania didn't really do too much. And the ones that were kind of low-key ended up blowing the roof off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a nice balance, and I see what you're saying. Maybe I'm going to elaborate a little bit. I don't think there's a match on this card that 5 years from now we'll be talking about as one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. That wasn't what this card was. You know, there wasn't a Shawn Michaels and Undertaker match on here. But they had some...
There was a bunch of matches that kept you entertained for 4 hours.
Yeah. And they had something on this card for everybody. You know, you had Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, which are typical, like, technical type wrestling match. AJ Styles and Shane McMahon was entertaining from bell to bell. You had the women's match. You had the ladder match with the big pop with the Hardy Boys. Even you had your romance, your John Cena and Nikki Bella and the Miz and Maurice, the proposal and all that other stuff like that. You had the big blockbuster match in Lesnar and Goldberg, and then of course we'll get into Undertaker and Reigns, and Seth Rollins and Triple H put on a hell of a show too. So there was really something on this card for everybody, and it wasn't all perfect, and we're going to talk about that. I know we both have some issues with the Battle Royal and a couple of other matches on this card, but you know, pound for pound, man, I want to say that I was at WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans, and that was awesome. But I'm not going to go so far as to say this was better, but it's right up there with it. It's right up there with that. It's right up there with WrestleMania 28, which was The Rock and John Cena, and then, of course, the Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Triple H. I'm going to throw this card up there with that type of WrestleMania.
I wouldn't put it on that level. I'd say it's a tier below it.
Yeah, well, I mean, some people have mixed reviews about it, but for me, man, the ending of it really put it over the moon for me, and we're going to get to that. But
I would agree. I agree with you on the expectations, though, because I really thought it was going to be just flat.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to have a few high points, but most of the card was going to be flat, and it definitely was not.
Yeah, it kept us entertained, so that's all we could ask for at the end of the day.
For sure, for sure.
Well, let's get into the pre-show. I didn't get to catch much of the pre-show until the very end of Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin. I was at a meeting, so I'm going to let you take the reins on this one. I'll call the matches out for you. The first match of the pre-show was Neville versus Austin Aries. Neville defending that WWE Cruiserweight Championship.
Neville and Austin Aries put on a heck of a show. It was a great match from the start to the end.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see these guys on the main card, but for them putting these guys on the pre-show, I heard they had a very good match.
They did, and I'm sure you'll see them again. I mean, and Austin Aries, it looked like he had Neville beat. Neville pulled the eye gouge, so that eye that got repaired not long ago, and ends up getting the win with a red arrow. So
great storytelling in this one.
Yeah, most definitely.
It seems like they probably just scratched the surface on what they can do in the ring, though.
I think you're going to see these guys in a lot more matches to come. I think this will be probably a long feud between Neville and Austin Aries.
We were talking about this in the last podcast, the WrestleMania preview, and these two are kind of the anchors of that division right now. They're number 1 and number 1A right now. I don't know who's better, but I mean, they are the best the Cruiserweight division has to offer at this point.
Without a doubt. I mean, you got Rich Swann and, like I said, Gallagher. We talked about them, too. I mean, they're right underneath those two. But those two right there, they're in a league of their own right now.
Yeah. I really I wish this match would have been on the main card, because I feel like it could have been one of those matches that, if given enough time and put it in a decent spot on the WrestleMania main card, it could have really stole the show and done wonders for both of these guys. But, I'm looking at the rest of the card, and I really don't know where to put it. I don't know if I could take something off the main card and put it on the pre-show in favor of this match. Maybe the six-pack challenge with the women's match.
I was about to say, you could have did that.
Yeah.
But with doing that, you take away from the SmackDown women's division, which they're trying to build up.
Right.
That's what needs the most work, SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it was smart of them to put it.
Yeah, it was smart of them to do that. And also, they put that six-pack challenge in between Lesnar and Goldberg and then Undertaker and Reigns. So they had to... Lesnar-Goldberg, for as short as it was, it brought the people up. I mean, big reaction. And then you had to bring them down a little bit, because they were going to get a big reaction for Undertaker and Reigns. So they put that match in there smartly, I thought.
I think so, too. And like I said, it needed to be on the main card more than the Cruiserweights did.
Well, that was a high point of the card. But let's get to what many consider a low point of the card, and I think you do yourself. Again, I didn't get to watch, but the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah, it wasn't like we've seen in the past.
Let's start with really the problem that I had with it from the get-go. Braun Strowman and Big Show eliminated very, very early.
Yeah, they all jump on Big Show, eliminate him, and then jump on Braun Strowman and eliminate him.
And, of course,
those two guys, neither one of them really needed that win, needed to push it.
Yeah.
But it's the way it is.
Well, Braun was my pick, and I don't want to go so far as to say that he needed the win, but I just felt like it was the obvious thing to do to give him the win. And just because it's the obvious thing to do doesn't mean it's the wrong decision. We know WWE throws these swerves at us and stuff, but I really didn't think we needed to see Big Show get eliminated that early, just because I think this might be his last WrestleMania.
I don't know. I think they'd give him a better send-off if it was his last WrestleMania. I think the shape he's in now, I think he can go for at least one more year.
Well, I think he could too, but he's been saying that he's getting ready to retire.
Yeah, but I think they're going to send him off with I wouldn't say a grand send-off like the Undertaker got, but I think he'll get a send-off.
Yeah. And, of course, Braun just had a great year, so I felt that it was kind of... I felt like it was kind of bogus to throw him out that early, but they had to do that to get these two giants out of the way so they could get to the spots they had later down the line. Now, I'm going to let you take this one. After these two were eliminated, I felt like probably the next best choice to win was Sami Zayn, which was your pick, correct?
Correct. That's right.
But that didn't happen.
No,
Instead, you have Mojo Rawley, who ended up winning the thing. But the guy who was came in second was your boy Jinder Mahal.
Yeah, that piece of garbage. I have no idea why he is still in wrestling. I don't. He's terrible. He's the worst wrestler in the WWE. The worst. Absolute worst. I'd say Ellsworth is a better wrestler than he is.
I'm over here silently laughing.
I'm telling you, he's terrible. And he gets on there and acts like he's supposed to be this big scary guy now. You were in the three-man band with Heath Slater and Drew Galloway out there playing air guitars with your little turban on not a year ago.
I will say this, and I completely agree with you. I think those two guys are immensely more talented than he is.
Yeah.
Heath Slater, of course.
Garbage since he came in WWE. I don't know what the hell they see in him, but man, he is terrible.
Real quick on Drew McIntyre, he was actually spotted in the NXT crowd during the NXT Takeover event, and he has re-signed with the WWE, so he's going back to NXT. And I look for him to do big things because he went and made a name for himself out in TNA, man. But Drew McIntyre was spotted in the NXT crowd at NXT Takeover in Orlando, and yeah, he is signed with the company, so he is going back to NXT.
And sometimes you got to go out and I heard I think Bully Ray said this on SiriusXM's WrestleMania pre-show. You got to go out there and find yourself, reinvent yourself. And go all over different places and wrestle and, come back to the big show.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. I think he'll be good when he comes back. He was good back then. He just didn't get that push like he needed.
Right. But we were talking about this earlier, and you said, you brought that up. You said you have guys like Drew McIntyre, Adam Cole, all these great wrestlers, but you got Jinder Mahal, comes second in the Battle Royal. And at least he didn't win it. But, yeah, I just don't get that.
And I told you this before, I was dead serious. If he would have won that Battle Royal, I was cutting it off. I wasn't even going to watch WrestleMania.
Well, thank God he didn't do that. Thank God he didn't win because you would have missed a hell of a show.
I would have been. When he went out there and threw the drink in Gronk's face, I said, they're fixing to let him do this, and him and Gronk are going to get into it, and he's going to end up winning from a distraction. I said, I can't even watch this. I got so mad and my head started hurting.
Well, this is why they did this. I think Braun Strowman would have won the match, but obviously they got in contact with Rob Gronkowski, badass from New England Patriots, the tight end, the best tight end in probably the history of football already.
I wouldn't go that far.
I don't know, man. He's pretty fucking good. Anyway.
But he's got a long way to go before he hits Tony Gonzalez status.
Yeah, okay. You saying that because you don't like the Patriots, but Rob Gronkowski gets in the ring and bowls over Jinder Mahal. Mojo Rawley throws Jinder Mahal out, celebrates with Gronk, and that's what WWE was going for. They wanted the WrestleMania moment, even though I didn't think it was that much of a moment. They wanted the WrestleMania moment of Rawley and Gronk, who is a big star, celebrating in the ring, and of course that'll get them on SportsCenter and stuff like that.
And I will tell you this, too. They partnered with ESPN.
Yeah.
Now, and Mojo Rawley, I think, what I've listened to when they were talking about him winning the Battle Royal, he's not with Zack Ryder anymore. I think Zack Ryder's hurt and out for a while.
No, yeah, I'm a fan of Mojo Rawley.
I am too.
I'm not mad that he won the match.
He gets a push.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to go back to obscurity and be a mid-card tag team wrestler after winning the Battle Royal. You know what I mean? Because that devalues Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal if they do that with him. Now, Baron Corbin got a big push after last year, so maybe we're going to see that. And I'd like to see Mojo Rawley, at least get in there for the Intercontinental title.
That's what this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is supposed to do. It's supposed to elevate guys into a better status. Now, the first time one we saw, Cesaro won it. And, you know, Cesaro is a top, he's an upper mid-card level guy, but he hasn't taken, for whatever reason, they haven't pulled the trigger on him yet. So he didn't really gain too much from winning it. Big Show was already a star when he won it. Baron Corbin, like you said, whenever he won it, was kind of the one who gained the most and will have been booked the best. So it's going to be interesting to see how they book Mojo Rawley going forward.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with him in the future.
Let's get into this match. Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin. Dean Ambrose defending that Intercontinental title. Look, this just had no spark to it. I did see most of this, and it had no spark to it. I felt, you know, the wrong guy won the match. I felt that it was time to put Baron Corbin over. Even though I'm a big fan of Ambrose, he's lost something, and he needs to find it. He needs to dig down deep and find that character. But they did have a street fight on SmackDown last night, which ironically enough wasn't for the Intercontinental belt, that Baron Corbin ended up winning the match.
I thought the match was flat too, to be honest with you. And him hollering at Ambrose, the belt's coming home with me, Ambrose. Do you hear me, Ambrose? You don't need all that. Shut up and hit him. You know, that's what you do. You're supposed to be, I don't know. To me, I know it was all built up, you know what I mean? It's setting Ambrose up to hit him with dirty deeds and win the belt. But it didn't need to happen.
Why didn't they just...
That counter was real good, though. I'll be honest with you. The end of the match, that was pretty neat.
My question is, why didn't they just have the street fight that they had on SmackDown last night at WrestleMania? They could have still done it on the pre-show. Why didn't they have the street fight?
Like we said the other day, you know, time constraints.
Yeah, but I mean, you have the pre-show was damn near an hour and a half long, Cody. Like they could have given these guys a little bit more time if they would have. You know, I'd rather see a longer match on the pre-show than have no disrespect to these guys, but have Shawn Michaels and Booker T and Jerry Lawler up there talking with Renee Young about what they expect to see tonight. You know.
Yeah. Shawn Michaels kind of looked like he didn't really know what he was talking about half the time. Like he didn't watch it.
Well, you know, Shawn Michaels has hit that status where he probably doesn't watch every Monday Night Raw, but I'm pretty sure he keeps up with the product. You know, he's a trainer now in NXT.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's. I don't know if he's down there full time, but he's definitely doing some training stuff down in NXT with those guys. And they were interviewing him for something this past weekend, and he had on his NXT pullover hoodie type jacket thing. So yeah, he's at.
If you want one to train you, that'd be the one.
Absolutely. You want to get into the main card now?
Let's go.
First match, AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon, and I know we talked about this last night, and you have kind of a different opinion. You really like this match, but you have something better for your match of the night. This, to me, when it's all said and done, from the bell to bell, this to me was the match of the night. AJ Styles and Shane McMahon. It completely exceeded any expectations I had for the actual bout.
I definitely thought it was good, but I wouldn't say, like I said, match of the night. I wouldn't pick it for match of the night. It was definitely a great match, and AJ Styles needed to win more than Shane McMahon did, and it ended up happening, which was good. But he kind of showed him that the boss still got it, you know, that kind of thing, and I like that.
Shane is in great shape, man. He goes out there and he does, you know, the 3 big bumps. He does the coast to coast with the trash can, and of course we've seen that a lot, but it never gets old. And then they do the big table bump where he drops the elbow onto. Well, he actually missed AJ, dropped the elbow and missed and hit through the announce table. And then the shooting star press, which is, amazing for anyone to do, much less Shane McMahon, who's not a full-time wrestler. And, you know, some people will be picky with the match. I know that at one point Shane McMahon kicked out of the Styles Clash, which is kind of like your more old-school fans will have a problem with Shane McMahon. Yeah, your more traditional fans will have a problem with Shane McMahon kicking out of AJ Styles' finisher, especially when it's a really devastating looking finisher. But if you can kind of look past that and just look at the entertainment value, these guys put on a hell of a show, man. And AJ Styles is to me, is the best worker in the world.
Kane, The Big Show, Steve Blackman, Kurt Angle, and last year wrestled Undertaker. I have zero problem with him kicking out of Styles Clash.
Well, I didn't have a problem with it either. I mean, you know, but some people do. Entertainment value, to me, this was awesome. I mean, it was awesome. And
I really thought it was an awesome match, too. I agree with you on that.
AJ Styles is the best worker in the world.
He's good. He is phenomenal, like he said.
Yeah, well, I'm both big fans of these guys. That's enough on this match. Let's move on to Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. You know, I give this match a good grade, Cody, but I think it could have been so much more. This was really the match that I thought they could have given 20, 25 minutes, bell to bell, and these guys just put on a wrestling clinic and really go out there and steal the show. But, you know, it comes out that they didn't have enough time for that. So they go out there, they go about 15 minutes, and KO gets the win. You know, I felt that this match could have benefited from maybe going later on in the card. The crowd was pretty hot for AJ and Shane. They had to come down a little bit. So maybe, then again, I don't know where you put it, though.
Well, I think it was in the right spot. And I think they did a good job of joining the match. Like you said, it was kind of just too short to set up everything that build-up had.
Exactly.
Because that was a build-up for a long time.
The build-up to this match was very good with the Festival of Friendship segment that they did, and then going back from these guys were teaming with each other all the way from SummerSlam to basically the Royal Rumble, and you hit the nail on the head. It should have been a little bit longer for the build-up that we got.
And KO's shirt was amazing. I liked it.
You texted me that though, the KO Mania 2 with the WrestleMania thing, yeah, for sure. And Jericho, man, he was out in there in that purple ring attire and looked like a rock star as always.
Yeah, he always has all kind of gear. He got goat on his trunks. I like that.
Yeah. Is Jericho going to stick around for a little while after WrestleMania, or what do you think?
I don't think he'll come back. I think he'll take a little break. You know, I mean, you talked. I think you read the same thing I read, that he's supposed to go on tour with his band. So, I mean, that's probably why you didn't see him win and keep the title.
Well, they're going to have a rematch at Payback, which I think is good because this will be the card where you can give these guys 20, 25 minutes and maybe put them in a gimmick match and they go out there and they tear the house down.
Yeah, both of those guys are great workers also, so, I mean, they can really put on a hell of a show. You
know, something interesting. You know, I listen to Chael Sonnen's podcast, and Chael likes to talk wrestling every now and then, but you can tell Chael doesn't follow the product from week to week like we do. He says KO doesn't do anything for him.
A lot of guys say that used to watch wrestling years ago because he's not your typical wrestler. That's why Cornette didn't like him when he was at OVW.
Yeah.
Cornette said he'll never be anything.
Well, Kevin Owens
is
is
that big, and to put the moves on that he does. What kind of man that size can do a moonsault?
Yeah.
That should be impossible for a man that size.
And that power bomb to the ring apron, nobody, hardly anybody should be kicking out of that thing right there.
Yeah.
So I was glad that was
off without killing somebody too.
Yeah.
Beating itself, you know.
Yeah, they might have gimmicked that ring apron. I don't know because that looks like that shit would hurt.
Yeah, terribly.
But
knowing how you do it, you know what I mean?
That's
part of it. That's knowing each other and touching in the ring and knowing what each other's going to do.
Good match from these two. Looking forward to their next bout at Payback in about 4 weeks. Let's get to the women's Fatal 4-Way match. It was Nia Jax, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and Bayley in a Fatal 4-Way elimination match for Bayley's Raw Women's Championship. You know, I didn't really feel either way about this match. I give it a solid grade. It was a good match, but you know, you could tell that it kind of got it got less time than some of these other matches and less hype behind it. I felt Nia Jax's performance in the match was really well though. Really good performance from her.
What'd you say? You broke up.
Nia Jax had a really good performance in this match.
Yes, she did. You know what I don't understand, though? And this happened a few times to me, and I'll get into it later on when we talk about that match also. Fatal 4-Way. Shouldn't that be first person to get pinned?
Well, that's normally
the match, and whoever pins him is the champion?
That's normally how it is, but this was a Fatal 4-Way elimination match, and they had announced that.
I didn't hear that part in it.
Yeah, they had announced that previously. But I'm like you, this match would have been served better being just a regular Fatal 4-Way match. and climax. And if you were only going to give these, they only got 12 minutes. So if you were only going to give these ladies 12 minutes, have them go bell to bell, balls to the wall, and just whoever gets that first pin gets that win. Then you can protect some of these other stars. You can protect Nia Jax, who was pretty protected. I mean, they did the triple power bomb on her, and then they all jumped up on her and pinned her. Which, I mean, you know, that's fine. They protected her well. But I would have liked to see. I think it would have served the match better if whoever would have got the first pin would have been the champion, like you just said.
Yeah, when Nia Jax got pinned, I said, damn, who's the champion now?
Well, they all were on her pinning her, too. So, yeah.
I said, who's the champion now, you know?
Yeah.
And they said, Nia Jax has been eliminated. I said, what the hell? I'm supposed to be a fatal four-way.
Yeah, fatal four-way elimination match.
Yeah, I missed that part.
Anyway, you know, I love Bayley, but to me, it's just Charlotte is the best wrestler in the women's division. I feel like she should have probably won this match. You know, but I don't have a problem with any of these ladies. I'm fans of all of them.
I think you had to give her a win to keep her career going in the right direction at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This wasn't the point where she needed to lose.
Bayley?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
Charlotte can lose anytime, and she still got credibility.
Yeah, you know,
make Bayley lose, and then you're back down to square one with her.
What I would have rather seen is they beat Charlotte too soon. They had this thing set up where she had never lost a pay-per-view match since debuting on the main card, and she had built that up and kind of thrown that out there, and then kind of as soon as they got that going, Bayley beat her at Fastlane.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the hell? Why don't you save that to WrestleMania, you know?
I agree. That would have been a good point to bring up at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You didn't need that at Fastlane.
Let's get to the ladder match. First huge pop of the night. Biggest pop of the night by far, by the way. Starts off, you got Enzo and Cass. They go out there. They run in their mouths. Then you got the club goes out there. Then you got Sheamus and Cesaro, who are over big with the crowd right now. And, of course, the New Day come out there and they tease it. Who are we going to... We got another team coming in, and they played it up so perfectly where you thought it might be the Hardy Boys because that's what everybody was chanting in the crowd. But then Big E and those guys played that off so well, acted like they were going to be the ones entering into it. And then that music hit. Jeff Hardy's music hit. And out come the Hardy Boys to the biggest damn ovation we've heard in a while.
I really honestly never thought I'd see that.
I kind of expected them to be back in WWE pretty soon. I didn't think they would pull it out for WrestleMania. I thought they would save it for the Raw after WrestleMania. But I'm glad.
Like you said, losing the Ring of Honor tag titles the night before.
Yeah, and had done in a ladder match, and Jeff Hardy said he was pretty beat up after that match too. But he still gets up there and does a swanton bomb off that big ass ladder right onto Sheamus and Cesaro, breaks another ladder.
And like we said in the pre-show, you really didn't have any high flyers in this match.
No.
You know, here come the Hardys, and now it's a ladder match.
Now it's a ladder match. You know, as soon as they come out, I texted you. I said, "Holy shit, they got to win it now." You know, and that's just what happened. But great to see the Hardy Boys back. Big fans of both of theirs. We don't know if they're going to be able to do the gimmick they were doing in TNA with the broken characters and all that other crazy type stuff, which I want to see that, by the way. But they're involved.
I think that's what got them signed back.
It did, obviously. But you know they're involved in a lawsuit with TNA right now where TNA is claiming they have the rights to that character.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, which is, you know, more bullshit because really how long is TNA going to be in business anymore, you know? But
well, it's been saying that for years now. And they keep on some kind of way getting funds and pulling it back out. With all the talent that's run through that place, man, they should be borderline WCW level. You know what I mean? If they had somebody over that knew what they were doing.
Well, they don't have the money that Ted Turner had and such, but they had a really...
They've had talent. They've had backing from other people. They didn't have Ted Turner's money.
Right.
But, I mean, they've had the star power.
When TNA was at its best, it was never competition directly to the WWE. But what it was a very good alternative that you could check out on a Thursday night on Spike TV, and you could get a different wrestling type show.
Yeah, get you vested in something else.
Yeah, and TNA I thought TNA had a really good year this year. The Hardys were a big part of that, but
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre, or Drew Galloway as he was known, Bobby Lashley, they had a lot of good things happen in TNA this year. They just don't have the management.
EC3, man, he's a hell of a wrestler too.
Ethan Carter's awesome. They just don't. Dixie Carter just doesn't know what she's doing, and you know, we could talk about that all day. But good to see the Hardy Boys back in the ring, and yeah, looking forward to what's in store for these guys. Let's get to the other tag team match. John Cena and Nikki Bella taking on the husband and wife duo of The Miz and Maurice.
This is another one that had great build-up and fell flat.
But what did you expect?
Just exactly what it did.
Yeah, great build-up. We're going to talk about John Cena here when we talk about The Undertaker later.
I'll say that, but I mean, to be honest with you, I thought that The Miz and John Cena would really go at it more than what they did.
You know,
and especially with that promo he cut on him.
And I texted you in the middle of the match, and I'm a big fan of Miz, but Miz was getting the best out of John Cena out of nowhere, and I'm sitting there and didn't cheat to do it. I'm sitting there texting you like, okay, I get it. You want to keep Miz looking strong, but Miz isn't.
A hell of a year.
Yeah, absolutely. But Miz's character isn't the character that goes toe to toe with John Cena, unless he can cheat to do it, and he didn't do that. And really, John Cena didn't get any offense on him until the very end of the match, when they did the double 5-knuckle shuffle and then AA spot. And I was like, yeah, what the hell? The match was what it was.
Yeah, it was a gimmick match, and that's what you got.
And then, of course, the proposal at the end was, kind of more. That was more of the deal than the match itself. And like I said, you had everything for somebody on this card, But congratulations to John Cena and Nikki Bella. This is legit. They are really engaged. They are going to get married somewhere down the line. Seth Rollins and Triple H.
My match of the night.
Your match of the night. The entrances were awesome. Triple H's was better than Seth.
He always does.
Yeah. Triple H's entrance was better than Seth Rollins' entrance. And I was listening to Stone Cold's podcast yesterday. And he was doing a review with Wade Keller. And he kind of said, Triple H is the heel. Seth Rollins is the babyface. But Triple H comes out in this badass entrance with the motorcycle or whatever the hell it was. And Stephanie McMahon on the back. Just badass as all hell. And Seth Rollins comes out there with a torch and lights the ring on fire with the video thing. And he said it just was, one entrance was real high while the other one just didn't meet the level. And he didn't think that did any favors for Seth Rollins going into the match.
I disagree with that.
I do too. And
it made sense to me.
It did make sense to me. I know you're about to say you're disagreeing with Stone Cold, who's your favorite. But no, yeah. I do, man, because it was almost like, I saw it two ways. It was almost like he had the torch, he put it down. It was like a passing of the torch type moment. Triple H was going to put Seth Rollins over and theoretically pass the torch to him. But also, they've been doing this injury angle with Seth. So it's like he's going out against all odds, and like they do in the Olympics. He's lighting the torch. I'm coming to get me some,
Well, I'll say it this way. Triple H calls himself the King of Kings. All right? What is his castle? The ring. Seth Rollins is coming to burn that King's castle down.
Yeah, burn that son of a bitch to the ground. And that's just
what
I saw. That's just what he did too. I mean, that was a hell of a match.
I thought the entrance was pretty clever, to be honest with you.
I thought it was clever too. But in the end of the day, I think Triple H's entrance will probably be remembered a little bit more. But that's just kind of his shtick. Triple H is very protective of his character to a T. He's old school like that. He always gets the big entrances and stuff like that.
Rightfully so, man. He spent so many years developing it and getting it right.
Yeah. To me, though, I love this match. It was a good match. But to me, it went on a little bit too long there in the middle. It was beginning, was balls to the wall. End was balls to the wall. But it kind of dragged a little bit for me in the middle. What'd you think?
I think you had to show him fighting through injury to make that match what it was.
Right.
I think you had to show him limping around and trying to do things and not being able to, and Triple H slapping him around because he thought, you can't do anything to me. You got a bum knee. And he's slapping him around, and Rollins comes back for a minute and then tries something, and bam, the knee goes out again. So I think it was pretty much timed like it's supposed to be.
They played
that story. They told that story just like it was supposed to be told.
They played the knee angle pretty hard, and then he was clutching that knee every time he did a big move. I just thought that maybe it drug on a little bit too much in the middle, but I'm a fan of both guys and a fan of the match. Either way, I love the match, but to me it plotted on a little bit in the middle. But definitely for me, but if you pick between AJ Styles and Shane McMahon in this match, you're kind of doing a coin toss for what was your match of the night. It just comes down to preference. And at the end of the day, Triple H did the right thing, and he put over Seth Rollins, which is what needed to happen. Seth needed this win so much.
Yeah. Same way like we talked with AJ Styles and Shane.
Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. Really, this was the lowest point of the show for me.
And Randy Orton is my favorite wrestler on the roster today, and I would agree with you 100%. Another one with build-up that fell absolutely from sky level to flat on the ground.
And obviously, I have written here in my notes, WTF, the light-up thing with the ring, where they put the image on of the maggots eating whatever the hell they were eating, the freaky-looking stuff. When Bray Wyatt goes to that little back handstand type thing, and that comes up. That's all fine and dandy. But they did that 3 or 4 times throughout the match, and it absolutely led to nothing. So basically what you're telling me is that Bray Wyatt can pull out all these stops. He can do all this crazy theatrical stuff and still not be able to win at the end.
Yeah. And like you and I were talking, they're kind of trying to play him up like another Undertaker with the crazy stuff he could do.
Yeah, but Undertaker won matches.
Used to make lightning pop and stuff like that. They're trying to make Bray Wyatt. And maybe this House of Horrors match is going to be something to that extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the thing about it was,
maybe that's why they did it.
And that I agree with that. But Undertaker won matches. He won those big matches. And that's what ultimately got him over. You can do all the theatrical things and everything like that. And I agree with you. I love Randy Orton. I'm a big fan of his. But
he didn't need that win.
He didn't need the win, and it didn't do anything for me, man.
Just like we talked about Bayley needing that win to keep her credibility, Bray Wyatt needed that same thing, and he didn't get it.
And
now it looks like he needs the family to come back. He needs Eric Rowan to come back to get him to where he needs to be. He can't beat Randy Orton by himself. He can't beat anybody by himself.
Yeah.
And that's bad to do that because he is a great performer, and he can really be a force if they use it right.
The way Bray Wyatt is supposed to be booked is how he was booked in that Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah. Just a force.
Yeah, just a force. And I don't have a problem with all the theatrical things that they do. I think WWE at times can get too crazy with that shit, but that's his character. But he's gonna have to get a big win at some point. So
this should have been it, but it is what it is.
And these guys can do so much more in the ring. We haven't seen them have a good match together yet.
But both of these guys are very entertaining.
Yeah, well, either way, do you think Randy will hold that title for a while, or do you think Bray will get it back?
I think you need to put it back on Bray. I mean, I don't think Randy Orton needed to win it. I don't think Randy Orton needs to hold it.
I don't think he does.
Now they said he got 3 people that have held the title more times than him now.
John Cena.
2 of them. I'm not sure who the third one is.
I think Triple H.
Maybe so.
John Cena, Ric Flair, and then Triple H, I think. Yeah.
So maybe that's the deal they were doing. They let him win it again, get his name up there.
Yeah, but
his career before he retired.
Yeah,
and he looks good, but he's got a lot of miles on him too.
Yeah, with the injuries and stuff like that. I actually rewatched last night. I got in late and I couldn't go to sleep. I rewatched his match with Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam this past year. The one with the elbow.
Yeah, where he sliced him up.
Yeah, pretty brutal type thing. And Randy Orton's been through the ringer. But I think there are two good potential feuds for Randy Orton that could be world title type level on SmackDown right now. Obviously, him and AJ Styles, I think, can tear the house down. And I think Randy Orton versus The Miz will be a damn good feud.
Yeah. The Miz is on another level here lately. They need to take that and run with it. And they haven't really been doing that.
Yeah, well, he wasn't going to get the win this past weekend, and we knew that going in.
No, but I'm saying, just in general. They made him lose to Ambrose, which is good, because Ambrose probably needed a little elevation after losing the world title. But I think you need to keep The Miz going.
We didn't talk about this. We kind of skipped over, but let's touch on this before we get to the last two big matches. John Cena is probably going to step away from SmackDown and wrestling and stuff for a couple months, probably coming back to make a SummerSlam return. He's doing another movie.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he's doing another movie, but he's been taking a lighter schedule anyway. Since for over a year now, he's been after WrestleMania. He usually takes a little time off, and then comes back for around SummerSlam, and then works the rest of the year. But yeah, just throwing that out there too. John Cena poised to take a little time off. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg for the Universal Heavyweight Championship. Just what it needed to be. Balls to the wall. Action for... I don't even know if it went 10 minutes, but action for a very short time. They run out there, and the first thing Goldberg did was try to spear Lesnar, and Lesnar does a leapfrog over him. Lesnar, a 6'3", 290-pound monster, does a leapfrog over Goldberg, who's probably 6'5".
Yeah.
Just a.
Talk about Kevin Owens not being able to do stuff because of what he looks like. Lesnar's another freak athlete that does stuff like that.
Lesnar
Owens looks like he sits there and drinks beer and eats Cheetos on the couch, though. Lesnar looks like just a genetic freak.
Yeah. Brock Lesnar, for his size and what he can do in the ring, I think is one of the best athletes in the world.
Without a doubt.
So then he does that, and then Lesnar does the 3 suplexes, and you're like, holy shit! Well, here they go with the squash match. He turns around and spear out of nowhere, and that popped the crowd huge.
They've needed that in those matches since the beginning, but all those matches were leading up to this.
Yeah.
So it makes sense the way they did the squash matches now.
Yeah.
To see this happen.
And this was the payoff. This was exactly what it needed to be. I can't give it an A+. If I'm giving grades, I can't give it an A or an A+ just because the nature of it, how brief it was. But this was everything it needed to be.
And granted, like we talked about before, it still did not need to be for Universal title.
No, but I tell you what, I'm damn sure excited to see what challengers await Brock Lesnar now that he has that title.
Yeah, I'd like to see him and Braun get in there and mix it up.
And they teased
but
that.
Roman Reigns is going to get the next shot.
Yeah, but I think they're going to save that for down the line. That's the rumored WrestleMania 34 main event: Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title.
Really?
Yeah. Now, if they can hold off that long on doing it, I don't know. We've seen WWE pull the trigger pretty early on things like this in the past, but that's what the...
That might be, but I think that title's going to change hands before next year WrestleMania.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Who's going to beat him?
I mean, you got to have Braun have some kind of a push to at least a triple threat with those three where they take Braun up. You got to make Braun look strong.
I don't think he wins the belt right now, though.
I don't think he's ready for the belt right now.
Yeah. Well,
you can't let Roman lose all year long and then win at WrestleMania.
No. I want to see a lot of people mix it up with Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman.
Seth Rollins. Finn Balor.
Yes. AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Hell, Cesaro. Throw him in there with him. There's a lot of people that you can mix it up with Brock Lesnar. Now, I hope he works. I don't know how many matches he'll work this year. I hope he works at least 6. I hope we see him at least every 2 months in a wrestling ring. Because there are a number of guys he can work with. And after this weekend, I'm ready to see him wrestle Shane McMahon.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, and we've talked enough about Brock Lesnar. Goldberg did a interview on the WWE Network in the Raw ring after it went off air on the USA Network, and he kind of said he's going to go away for a little while, but he said, hey, never say never. You never may know who's next, and left it at that. So I think we'll see him back at some point. I think that's a safe bet, but I think it's going to be a little while.
Yeah, that was a nice bit of a nostalgia to see him back in the ring, you know?
Yeah.
It brings back memories from when I was younger.
There are some guys I want to see him mix it up with. Roman Reigns, John Cena. Hey, another name
Braun.
Braun. Another name I forgot to throw out there for wrestling Brock Lesnar, Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens. There are so many people you can throw out there, but this match was what it needed to be, and this was a match that whenever it came on, I put everything down and I watched it because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was very pleased. Let's touch on this real quick. Women's six-pack challenge. Naomi gets the win in her hometown of Orlando. That's what needed to happen. This was a filler match between Lesnar and Goldberg in the main event.
Yeah, and they needed to put it high on the card to elevate the women's division, like I said earlier, because that's the division that needs to work on SmackDown more than anything else. Raw women's division took off like a rocket, and SmackDown's has kind of been not even starting to ball in the pots yet.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, anything else you want to say about this match?
I think it was all right. A lot better than I expected it to be.
Let's get to the main event, and this is what I've been chomping at the bit to talk about. Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker in what looks to be The Undertaker's last professional wrestling match. I had a test Monday, econ test. I was studying for it, kind of on and off the whole time during WrestleMania. Had my laptop out, going through my notes. And whenever they said this match was coming on next, I put down my notes, put down everything. I watched it from entrance until it went off air of the WWE Network because I knew this may be Undertaker's last go around, and I wasn't going to miss that for anything. Didn't really help my econ score now that I got that back, but hey, I was not going to miss this match for anything in the world.
Yeah, you can't. Not as long as you've been a wrestling fan.
No. And Roman comes out to a big chorus of boos, and then The Undertaker comes out in that entrance. And awesome as it always is. And they get to the match. And for the shape that Undertaker was in, this is probably the best these two guys can do in the ring.
Like I said, I heard a bunch of people talking at work and just a bunch of people talking in general. Said it really wasn't a good match. They didn't really like it. I thought it was a hell of a match.
Well, they didn't like it because Undertaker lost. Either that or he wasn't moving around like he normally was because he's in pain. He is.
Yeah.
But that's the story. That's the emotion behind it.
Yeah. Saw Roman tell him a couple times, stay down.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they do the big spots, and Roman took a lot of he took a lot of the offense in this match. With the spears at the end, and you had people in the crowd ready to cry when he was doing the spears because they knew what was coming. But Undertaker kept kicking out and kicking out and kicking out.
When he did a drive-by and it looked like the Undertaker's head bounced off that post, that was ugly.
Yeah, but that's
spearing him through the table.
Yeah, that's Undertaker laying it all out on the line, man, for his last match though. What we assume will be his last match. The ending, like we talked about with the spears and everything, Undertaker told him, "You don't have the balls to do it. You don't have the balls.
Just stay down. Just stay down."
Yeah. You could see it in Reigns'. You could see it the way they played it out, the character. And I may not necessarily agree with this. I think that maybe he should have done full on heel turn. But Roman is one of the most polarizing characters in the WWE right now, if not the most polarizing because of the crowd reaction that he gets. He may act like a babyface, but they boo the shit out of him, but that doesn't matter. He's getting the reaction. Did you see the Raw after WrestleMania?
I saw the highlight where I had to go to bed, obviously.
Yeah.
I have to get up at the ass crack of dawn every morning. But,
the working man.
Yeah. Story of my life. I saw the highlight of it where they booed him for 10 minutes straight. Every time he went to put the microphone in his mouth, you wouldn't be able to hear what he said.
They were throwing the obscenities at him too.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And you could hear it clear as day on television. But yeah, and then he simply says, "This is my yard now," and throws the mic down and walks out. A plus. A plus on that segment. All he had to say. But that, we got a little ahead of ourselves right there. The ending, yeah, he kept telling Undertaker, just stay down. Don't kick out.
I think he told him the last time, he said, I'm going to have to do it again. And he told him, you don't have the balls. He's talking about spirit,
Yeah.
Give him another spirit.
Man, the fan in me was hoping whenever Roman ran against the ropes and acted like he was going to spear him, but ducked and then ran back, and they said, grab him by the throat and choke slam him, bruh. But Roman had to win the match. He had to win the match. And now he is...
It's definitely what needed to happen for the future of the company.
And now he is, whether you love him or hate him, maybe the most over character in wrestling right now.
Without a doubt.
And
people that can say they beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania. One of them's a champion.
Yeah. And that's what...
probably the biggest genetic freak that's ever been in the WWE.
You and I bitched and complained a lot in the lead up to this. Why would they book this? This is so stupid. Why are you missing out on Undertaker and John Cena? And you know what, Cody? We're never going to see that match. We aren't.
And I thought about it. I told you this. You didn't need that. John Cena does not need to beat the Undertaker. The Undertaker does not need to beat John Cena. It would have been fun to watch for us.
Yeah.
But that's not what they needed to do at this point in time to keep that company going in the right direction and moving forward with new talent.
Well, and I agree with you 100% now. I still would have rather, I still told you, I still wanted to see that match. And like I was just saying, we'll never see that match, which sucks. But this match needed to happen. This was quote unquote what they always say, what was best for business. And yeah, it had to happen. And Taker rides off into the sunset, and he sits up. And I thought it was very classy that Roman didn't do too much celebrating. He left the ring for Undertaker, which is what should have happened.
Yeah, he had to do the fireworks and the.
Yeah, a lot of people
for the photo ops with the fireworks.
A lot of people.
Had to do all that.
A lot of people had a problem with that too, but that's part of the deal. He won the match.
They do that every year, WrestleMania for the main event. Every year.
Yeah. He won the match, and that's that. Taker sits up. He puts on all his he puts his hat, his duster coat back on. He goes to leave the ring. Comes back, and he takes those gloves off and puts them down in the ring. And man, it was just like, this is so surreal, so surreal. And you couldn't really tell because the blue light was all around, but dare I say, he may have had a tear in his eye.
I'm sure he did.
I think he did. Looking back, he takes his duster coat off, folds that up, puts it down, takes the hat off, does the eyes in the back of the head one last time, puts it down, gets out of the ring, goes over to his wife, kisses her, up the ring, stands up there for up the ramp, stands up there for a second, turns around, looks at the crowd one last time with that ovation, arm in the air. He goes through the floor with the great thing, and that's that. That's probably the last time we're going to see the Undertaker in that type of setting ever again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to do the Hall of Fame, and we'll get all that and all that other stuff like that. But
what else can you say but thank you, Taker, for all the years, all the great matches, all the memories.
Been wrestling.
I've told you, I've never really been a fan of his. Never really cared for him. I respected what he did in the ring. I love watching his matches, but I never pulled for him.
Like he said, all we can say is thank you, Taker, and just that's why we have the WWE Network. This is why you pay your $9.99 a month, because you can go on there and you can watch every single match he's had, all those great WrestleMania matches, all those matches he had with Mankind, with Shawn Michaels.
Greatest Hell in a Cell moment ever.
Absolutely. All those matches he had with Stone Cold, Triple H, Shawn Michaels.
And I'll say this too. I don't think anybody could have went through the character changes like he did and kept the steam like he did.
The man's been wrestling since 1984. And so that was, what, a 33-year career right there? 33 years in the wrestling business, and he ended it at WrestleMania 33. I just realized that.
Wow. I didn't think about that either.
Yeah, it was something, man. It was something. And, you know, he's going to have a hip replacement surgery now.
I'm sure he needs it.
Yeah. And
the bumps and bruises he's taking.
You said it, man. And if Undertaker is headlining the Hall of Fame next year in New Orleans, we have to be there.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it anyway. We need to start trying to get everybody together to see who's going to go so we can get that going.
For sure. For sure. Anything else you want to talk about this WrestleMania, the weekend?
I think we covered it, man. I think overall, like you said, the card was great. It had some low points, had some high points, but as a whole, way better than I expected it.
And a lasting moment of Undertaker going out one last time like the old gunslinger that he is.
Yeah.
You want to talk some UFC real quick because we don't want to ignore this. There is a UFC pay-per-view this weekend, UFC 210, Anthony Rumble Johnson versus Daniel Cormier for that light heavyweight championship. We're going to touch on this pretty quick because we've gone an hour now, but we do want to hit the high points of this main card. Cody, Will Brooks versus Charles Oliveira. How do you say his name?
Oliveira.
Will Brooks versus Charles Oliveira, lightweight bout.
Oliveira was fighting at featherweight, and he's having a hard time cutting weight and rehydrating, and he having a few health issues. He's a hell of a fighter, a jiu-jitsu wizard. So he might give Will Brooks some problems, but Will Brooks is a hell of a fighter too. I'm interested to see how this one turns out.
So you going Will Brooks?
I'm gonna go Oliveira in his lightweight debut.
I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm going Will Brooks. Thiago Alves versus Patrick Cote. I think this is going to be a really good match this weekend. Really good. Shit, I'm still in wrestling mode. I think this is going to be a really good fight this weekend.
Yeah, man. I mean, both of those guys were title contenders years ago.
Yeah, I can remember when Thiago Alves fought St. Pierre on UFC 100.
Yep, we watched that at Stewart's house.
Been a long time ago.
Yeah, we sure did. We watched that at Stewart's house.
I'm gonna go Patrick Cote on this one though.
I'm going Alves.
Do any of these guys have a chance to get back up into title contention?
In that division, probably not, because Woodley's going to try to get super fights like McGregor and other guys. And then another division, I'd say yeah.
We do want to touch on this real quick. We don't know much about this, but a women's strawweight bout this weekend. Cynthia Calvillo versus Pearl Gonzalez. So be on the lookout for that. I'm sure the women always put on a good match at a. I mean, shit.
Thinking about it now,
good
man,
fight at Russell.
I've seen that Cynthia Calvillo fight before.
Did she win or lose? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I remember seeing her fight. I'm gonna go with her.
I'm gonna go with Pearl Gonzalez just to be different from you, man.
Yeah.
Gegard Mousasi fighting Chris Weidman with a middleweight bout. Of course, they had to put Chris Weidman on this card. It's in Buffalo, New York. So he's a big draw there. Man, have you seen the pictures of him lately, how big that guy is?
I have not. I mean, you talked about it. I'd like to see how he does it coming off of 2 losses. That's what I'm interested in.
2 brutal losses, by the way.
Yeah, man. I mean, and then he's got some nuts to take a fight against Gegard Mousasi, who is a scrappy little guy and who has beat some of the best around.
Can Gegard handle Chris Weidman's wrestling?
Yes.
Okay. That's what
Gegard handled Dan Henderson's wrestling. Gegard's handled he's beat a bunch of wrestlers in his time. Gegard is like a snake when you try to hold him down. So, I mean, he's not easy to keep down.
You know, because I was kind of figuring, I don't know a ton about Gegard Mousasi. Obviously, I'm a big Chris Weidman fan, but I figured that Gegard would probably have the advantage with the striking stand-up, but Chris Weidman's such an excellent wrestler, I figured he would just have to have the advantage in that department.
He definitely has the advantage, but it's a question.
Say that again?
I said that he'll be able to take him down, I think, but will he be able to keep him down is going to be the question.
Yeah. And
Chris Weidman can take anybody down in the UFC.
now, is Gegard Mousasi as big as Chris Weidman? Because his last... No. Okay. Because the last two opponents he fought, Yoel Romero, who's a big son of a bitch, and then Luke Rockhold is 6'3", chiseled out of stone, big strong son of a gun. So I think that didn't help him so much, which is maybe why he put on more muscle going into this fight.
Could be. Maybe to be able to hold him down, have that extra weight advantage and throw around. It's going to be interesting to see.
It's hard for me to... I want to pick Chris Weidman so bad, but it's hard for me to pick him just because he's on a losing streak right now.
I'm going with Gegard. I think Gegard's going to get the win.
You think by decision, knockout, what?
I'll put TKO.
Well, if that happens that way, I hope it's not as brutal. I'm going to go Chris Weidman because he's my boy. I got to go for him. But if he loses this match, I don't know how many more times I can predict him.
Yeah.
Now for the main event. What everybody wants to see. Anthony Rumble Johnson facing Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title.
I'm a big fan of both these guys. Both these guys are great sports. They're great fighters. They're humble. And neither one of them are scared of a single person walking the face of this earth.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I love that about it. This fight brings fireworks to the table like none other.
Daniel Cormier is obviously from Lafayette, Louisiana guy. That's why I always root for him. Anytime he's fighting.
As do I.
But it's hard to pick this fight because I feel like most people are picking Rumble Johnson to win, but this is obviously true what happened. Daniel Cormier has already beat him.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's hard to pick against Daniel Cormier because he's already beat him. And I know Rumble Johnson has improved since then, but he still beat him.
Yeah, he did. And you got to look at it too. It was Rumble Johnson's first title match.
And boy, did Daniel Cormier take a damn punch from him. Oh,
yeah,
my
he did.
God.
He knocked his ass halfway across the octagon.
Yeah.
I
So,
will tell you this. How many years ago was that?
shit, DC's had that title for at least, over a year for sure.
I'd say about a year and a half. I'd like to see
Has it been 2 years?
Huh?
Has it been 2 years already?
It's probably close to it.
Yeah, getting close to it.
DC is probably 36, I think.
Yeah, he's older than Rumble for sure.
And also, the important thing to think about, I heard on Luke Thomas' show, I was listening to it this morning, John Jones is doing a media day Friday, the day before Daniel Cormier and Rumble Johnson fight.
So what's he supposed to get in there and challenge whoever wins?
I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to apologize for failing the drug test at 200. I don't know if he's going to say, he's ready to come back and fight. And he wants Daniel Cormier, or you never know what he's going to say. But that's got to be sitting in the back of DC's head. Because DC, he don't care about fighting anybody else. He wants to fight John Jones.
Yeah.
That's the fight he wants.
And if he loses this weekend, that's probably not going to happen.
Exactly. So he knows he has to win this fight.
Well, it seems like DC is almost in this position every time he gets into the ring. People always say he has to prove something. And
He has to prove anything. But I think he knows he has to keep winning in order to fight John Jones another time, and that's who he wants. He wants to avenge that loss.
Yeah, which is going to be tough to do because you got to get for one thing you got to beat John Jones, but you got to get through Rumble Johnson first. So with all this being said, who are you picking?
I'm taking Rumble. I think Rumble's improved. I think Cormier's gotten older. I think Cormier with that long layoff is going to hurt him, and I'm taking Rumble.
Last time he fought was UFC 200 against Anderson Silva, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Oh man, this is a toss-up. I know you think I'm going to pick DC just because I picked against you for all the fights we've talked about, but I really am sitting here thinking about this and thinking about who I think is going to win. Oh man, like you said, Rumble Johnson has improved so much, man. He is what he did. Who was that guy he fought at 202?
Glover Teixeira.
What he did to Glover Teixeira with that knockout put me on notice that this is one of the scariest dudes in the UFC. All that being said, Daniel Cormier has beaten him already. Daniel Cormier, if they get into a wrestling match, will beat him again. Will he be able to take him down? Will he be able to get that close to him? I don't know. I think Rumble Johnson is ready for the title, but I'm going DC.
Got a big guess, man.
Yeah, kind of.
I'd expect nothing less.
Well, man, we've covered a lot. We're going for a damn near an hour and 15 minutes right now. Anything else you want to say before we sign this off?
I'm good, man. I think we covered everything. Got WrestleMania out of the way, and looking forward to SummerSlam coming up. That'll be the next big pay-per-view, and looking forward to seeing DC and Rumble this Saturday night.
Gonna lay a few back this Saturday night.
Yeah, maybe, man. I work Sunday.
Call in.
Can't do it.
All right, man. Anything you want to give him to watch?
I said earlier, Eric Bischoff's documentary on WWE Network. If you hadn't watched it, it kind of goes into detail about how he got his job with WCW, his life before WCW, and the Monday Night Wars, and his life after the company was sold. So it's really something to watch.
I have to check that out for sure because I love stuff like that. I'm a big Eric Bischoff fan. Two things I'm going to give you guys to watch. The tag team match from NXT TakeOver Orlando that I told you guys about, the Revival versus DIY versus Authors of Pain. And then it wouldn't feel right without giving them Undertaker the match to watch. So throw out your favorite Undertaker match.
Oh man, there's been so many. Probably the first blood match with Austin is the one I like the best.
Fully Loaded.
Yeah.
Awesome match. Awesome match. You talked about it earlier. I got to go Hell in a Cell. 1998, King of the Ring.
Yeah. Mankind.
All right, guys. Thanks everyone for listening. Follow us on Twitter at There's the Bell 17. Like our Facebook page, There's the Bell with Max Hawkins and Cody Butler. Thank you for listening.
Feedback's always welcome, negative or positive. Let us know.
That's right. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you, Taker.